Hi, my name is Christian DeRitter. This is my senior practicum for nursing 456. I completed my practicum in my workplace, which is Pacific Cancer Care. We are an outpatient oncology and hematology infusion center. And the focus of my practicum project was to evaluate the safety of older style IV pumps in comparison to their newer counterparts that include drug error reduction systems. I chose this topic due to the importance of intravenous therapy in medicine and the fact that my workplace still uses older manual pumps. To accomplish the goal of evaluating IV pump safety and increasing safety with the pumps we currently use, I designed a project that consisted of 3 phases. 1, conduct a literature review that explores the topic. 2, develop a drug handbook that serves as a physical drug library in the absence of a built-in library in the older style pumps used at my workplace. And 3, share the handbook with coworkers and track and evaluate the usage of the resource. For phase 1, I conducted a literature review. And in writing this literature review, I reviewed 10 sources on the topic of IV pumps and safety. What I found was that medication administration errors, or MAEs, are more common with manual pumps than newer pumps, and they can include push button errors, miscalculation, and unit errors. While most people could probably look at a manual pump versus a newer style pump that has all of these safety features and innovative technology and lean towards the direction of the newer pump, implementing a newer pump software in a facility such as mine does come with a set of challenges. And this can include the management and updating of drug libraries that with current protocols and unit-specific dosages. Also deciding on hard and soft limits for infusion parameters that let users override preset infusion protocols in units such as critical care, maybe labor and delivery, and even oncology, such as where I work. And finally, they also present a new challenge with IT security. However, I still think the benefits outweigh the potential cons because there is a dramatic increase in safety with newer style pumps. The second phase consisted of the development of a drug handbook. This resource compiled information from various resources, including infusion protocols from my workplace, as well as medication information and patient education. I wanted a resource that discussed fluid compatibility, the order of infusion, and important nursing considerations all in one place. The idea is that this handbook would serve as a physical drug library in lieu of an electronic drug library that would be programmed into a newer IV pump were it available to me. For this handbook, I selected 10 drugs that are commonly infused in our practice, including bevacizumab, carboplatin, cetuximab, cisplatin, infliximab, nivolumab, oxaliplatin, paclitaxel, pembrolizumab, and rituximab. I chose these drugs for varying reasons, including frequent administration at our practice and/or specific or multiple infusion protocols. For example, infliximab is a drug that has pretty rigid infusion protocols, at least in my practice, where we start at a very slow rate and increase in intervals of 15 minutes and eventually 30 minutes to get to a max rate. Or an even better example is rituximab, which at my workplace has 3 different infusion protocols, including a first-time protocol, a standard infusion protocol, and then a rapid protocol once the patient has had enough of a loading dose and is tolerating the medication well. Once the handbook was completed, I shared it with 3 coworkers, including my preceptor, and implemented their feedback. One of the things that they stressed to me is that a lot of the drugs that we give, the protocols are practice specific So whereas we have 3 infusion protocols for rituximab, other places only have 1, or some have even more specific and more numerous protocols than we use. And it's important to realize that these protocols are constantly changing as new research is done, and updating the best practice to make sure that we're giving the best line of care. Once I provided training on how to use the handbook, I provided a tracking sheet to evaluate the usage of the resource over 1 week. The final phase is evaluation of the handbook's usage. Over the several weeks of tracking, the handbook was not used. I think this occurred for several reasons. First, the handbook was limited in scope as it only included 10 medications when we regularly infuse a much larger number of medications. In the future, the handbook could be improved by increasing its breadth to upwards of 50 medications. Next, 1 week is not a very long time to track usage. Anecdotally, during the week that I was tracking, we were short-staffed and the infusion center was very busy. I don't know that a staff member would have had time to consult the resource even if he or she had wanted to. Finally, the handbook was only shared with 3 nurses out of the 7 who work at our practice, myself not included. Additionally, the 3 people that I did train have all worked at our practice for at least 5 years and in oncology for longer than that. So in the future, I could share the resource with my coworker who was hired more recently than I was and is also a new graduate. The goal of the project was to evaluate the safety of IV pumps and provide a resource to aid my coworkers in lieu of replacing our manual pumps. The literature review did achieve its goal of determining that newer pumps with drug error reduction systems are safer than manual pumps, but also bring the challenges of drug library management and IT security. The drug handbook cannot be evaluated related to its success of reaching its intention, as it was not utilized during the tracking period. It is suggested to improve the handbook by including more medications, increasing the length of tracking time, and sharing with more coworkers, focusing on those who are newer to oncology and/or nursing. Through the project, I was able to identify an issue that affected my workplace, that manual pumps require frequent maintenance and increase the risk of medication administration errors, and also conduct a literature review to evaluate the need for intervention and develop a resource. During the course of this project, our company has begun the search for pumps that meet our physical and clinical needs. I hope to provide the knowledge I have gained on the topic with my clinical manager in order to improve my workplace. Thanks so much for your attention to my presentation. Congratulations on completing your own practicums, and I look forward to watching your presentations as well. Thanks.